Braveheart synopsis.
Dirty centipede.
13th century.
In bed with loan sharks, plagued by ass-kicked ruins, we repaved the contours of Scotland.
King Edward Longshanks, played by Patrick McGowan, invades and conquers Scotland.
Eddie Grant's Friday Night Kiss was right in at 4. We shook a newly sullied Scot mid-coupon at Lisa and Ed on their wedding night.
Edward grants Primi Noctis the right for a lord to take a newly married Scottish woman into his bed on their wedding night.
Hunchbacks planned to cheat the operations of Scotland.
Longshanks' plan is to breed out the population of Scotland. 10 years later.
10 years later.
Wilhelm all this meld Ibsen, read earns dues far there's farm. Heat tempts doom a raised childhood sweet Arton's secret.
William Wallace, Mel Gibson, returns to his father's farm. He attempts to marry his childhood sweetheart in secret.
But in, and wish shoulders intervene, they're insulting invite lads, do the gull sex locution. Inbred collusion, all its otters, thing wish Gary's son.
But when English soldiers intervene, the resulting fight leads to the girl's execution. In retribution, Wallace slaughters the English garrison. Walrus devils, aka the English, stood a piece on dead men's legs, munted tosspots in a stolen Audi, sang Jolene.
Wallace rebels against the English, and as his legend spreads, hundreds of Scots from the surrounding clans join him.
Walrus P was balmy, too thick to be swirling in my slacks. We city of porcelain, Poltax, Kestrels, and Glen Ringblatt, all dead.
Wallace leads his army to victory at Stirling and then sacks the city of York, killing Longshanks' nephew and sending back his head.
The police torched a villa. Your friends were in it.
Wallace launches a guerrilla war against the English. Waldorf combing and phasing bite his cerebellum difference. All this imp lures the Scottish knob let that immediate action isn't dead.
Warned of the coming invasion by Isabella of France, Wallace implores the Scottish nobility that immediate action is needed.
Lee Hingway, the English army himself, Songlangs confronts the Scots at Falkirk.
Leading the English army himself, Longshanks confronts the Scots at Falkirk.
Aswad's hard edges, the deep art and long axe. Wheezing terse whereby wise enough lance us, hooter shout Toby, Robert the Bruise.
As Wallace charges with the departing Longshanks, he is intercepted by one of the king's lancers, who turns out to be Robert the Bruce.
More is full. Robert gets all this to save tea-beef or pecan beak abjude. All the skills nae handlock forth ere be trial, and wages a gore iller war are instant anguish.
Remorseful, Robert gets Wallace to safety before he can be captured. Wallace kills Mornay and Lachlan for their betrayal and wages a guerrilla war against the English. How did vending Bitcoin projects land this beautiful score? Robot ketchup seeping from architecture.
Now intending to join Wallace and commit troops to the war, Robert sets up a meeting in Edinburgh.
All investors in Nirvana had retired, big suckers for local focaccia. Phonics rang bland into the spindrift.
However, his father has conspired with other nobles to capture Wallace and hand him to the English.
Churning office lechery, covert colognes of gardeners.
Learning of his treachery, Robert disowns his father.
Does a better expat depend on a jowled, herpes-filled romance? My bell end, grimly skiffed, lead paint-dipped balustrade, as tense as any sun-cracked line on Julian Assange's face.
Isabella exacts revenge on the now terminally ill Longshanks by telling him she is pregnant with Wallace's child. intent on ending Longshank's line and ruling in his son's place. Inland in, what kisses broad tit beef foreign languish arm putate, tired fortnight grease on, he gone down to cube liquor tonsure, I'll be heading.
In London, Wallace is brought before an English magistrate, tried for high treason, condemned to public torture and beheading.
Eden los peeing, hound dog hand quartered. Lawless reef, you says to sup with Tooty King. Winstead housing third, freedom. Pimp pressed by this God's man's velour, hit budge orders his teeth.
Even whilst being hanged, drawn and quartered, Wallace refuses to submit to the king, instead shouting the word freedom. Impressed by the Scotsman's valour, the judge orders his death.
Years later, Robert the Bruise bleeds an arm, he grains a cunt anguish when he supplies Xanax outbound nocturne. Robert Imp lowers his man-toothed out rhythm, happy one's dig pith ballface.
Years later, Robert the Bruce leads an army against the stunned English in a surprise attack at Bannockburn. Robert implores his men to fight with him, as they once did with Wallace.
This poem's taken, it's all the frees and freedoms are taken from the SNP's white paper on independence in order, as I found them with little phrases beside them, blah blah blah. It's got a title, but it's rubbish.
Can I do a stream? Just to practice.
No.
Ah! Okay, good. Alright, that's it.
Okay. Free of charge.
Our tradition of free education,
Protect free university.
principle of free education,
Continue to have free access.
the right to live free of discrimination,
Free personal care for the elderly.
and restore free education,
Free personal care for the elderly.
free personal care and decent
People in
pensions,
free.
free personal care,
Free
free
prescriptions.
higher education,
Free concessionary travel.
support existing tax-free,
Scotland will be free.
free at the point of need,
Free personal and nursing care.
to support tax-free savings,
It will also free up money.
such as free school meals,
Freedom to invest in housing supply.
a free truly public service,
Delivering free personal care.
introduce free personal care.
An introduction of free eye tests.
This government will protect free,
Will give Scotland the powers to free children.
free university tuition.
Restore free access.
Our priorities for action,
Free.
to have free access,
Free education for those able to benefit.
with the principles of free movement,
Which could undermine prosperity, well-being and freedom.
protecting free education,
Including fisheries, agriculture, research and creativity and freedom.
with free movement of goods, a partnership,
Approach to freedom.
the free movement of nationals.
Fundamental freedoms.
Spending will also free up valuable resources
Our fundamental rights and freedoms.
to privacy and to
Freedom.
of expression,
As Scots are now.
disease-free.
Nuclear free.
Scotland will be free to design a new means of funding,
Given creative freedom.
entitlement to live free,
The rights and freedoms of everyone. Freedom.
of information,
Free up the central belt.
allowing free and safe movement of aircraft,
Ensuring the free movement of goods.
free movement of labour,
Carefree.
free prescriptions,
Things like free prescriptions.
carefree.
This includes free.
What will happen to free,
The successful policy of free.
including free?
Travel free.
Would they be free?
Free to choose.
The principles of free,
State is free.
free movement across the border.
Currently there is freedom.
Scotland's citizens also
Freedom. Freedom of movement.
will enjoy free movement
Related to Freeview and
and free state.
services that are currently free.
Entry is free to core
A fair trial and freedom. Freedoms.
of everyone,
Life or freedom.
as free personal care
That government restored free
and introduced free
rights and freedom.